All right, let's go ahead and call this meeting of the Isanti City Council to order. If we can all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Doing a roll call, we have all council members present. Give me just 1 second here. Do we have any public comment this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on to adopting the agenda. Are there any modifications?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. There are no modifications.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
I have a motion to adopt the agenda from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Holmgren. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Moving on to F1. Keith, I'll probably let you take it from here, but it's the troop supply drive check presentation.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. I've got a few folks here from Isanti County Beyond the Yellow Ribbon tonight. We're happy to present a check to them in the amount of $3,917.31, which is 100% of the donations that we received from our customers during the month of June. We'd also like to say thank you to Isanti County Beyond the Yellow Ribbon for what you folks do over there, and to also, say thank you to our customers for their support of this valuable community or program. So with that being said, I don't know if they've got anything they want to say, but if you guys want to get a picture, I do have a big check that we can
Sure.
get a picture of as well.
Thank you, Keith. I'm Gail Jenin, fundraising chair for Isanti County Beyond the Yellow Ribbon. I am so grateful to the city of Isanti, and especially the liquor store and all their employees, for supporting us so strongly. We were here last January, and we're here again in July, and I'm just amazed at the amount of money and generosity that this community affords us. So I'm very happy to be here and very thankful.
Well, and like Keith said, I mean, we sure appreciate all the work that you guys do. I mean, that's important, and I don't think there's a better, well, I mean, we do have the fire department fundraiser, I guess, coming up, so I better be careful.
And
Maybe
that's important.
But I mean, I think probably what you guys do is the most important work that's being done, so
Thank you,
we're
and-
happy to be a part of what you're doing.
We're so proud the fact that we raise our money here and we spend our money here in the county. And it's all of our county residents that are benefiting from what we do. I brought along our current annual report, which was published in April. And then we're having a golf tournament that's coming in September, and I'm just going to leave this with you. and
That
if
sounds great.
anyone's interested,
Yeah,
great.
absolutely. And if you want to put some of those fundraisers, that you can put them on the back table. If anybody in the audience wants to grab them when they're leaving, you can do that too, so.
okay, great.
Okay.
I will, thank you.
Awesome. And then, did you guys want to do a picture? And Keith, you want to come up and we could do the whole council and, yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you, Keith, for doing that over there too. So I know that's a lot of people asking, do you want to round up? And so the staff was doing a good job of working with that too, so. And I know we have an update later on this, but I'll just mention it as long as you're here. Nice work on getting that DoorDash set up, and I'm amazed actually at how fast that's taken off. So I love to see that. So I know that was a ton of work for you to do, and I really appreciate you doing it, so. Yeah.
And did you,
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for toughing that process out for us. We know it's brutal.
did you see the heat map on that?
Yes,
When it
I
was
sure
delivered?
did.
Lot of Cambridge purchases, yes. All right, so we'll move on to G1. That's the July 2nd, 2024 City Council meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Merrill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. For announcements, we've got our Park and Recreation Board meeting coming up Tuesday, July 23rd at 6 PM. We've got our grand opening and ribbon cutting at our new Police Department facility on Tuesday, August 6th. We've also got the National Night Out on Tuesday, August 6th. And then because of National Night Out, we move our council meeting to Wednesday, August 7th at 7 PM. We have a city council budget work session Wednesday, August 7th. That'll be immediately following the council meeting. And then we also have our EDA meeting, that's Wednesday, August 7th, which I was gonna ask about this, could we flip those? And maybe do the budget work session after the EDA? So that way it's not something where the EDA people have to wait around for,
Yes, we can.
you okay with that?
Yep.
Okay, so scrap that, so it'll be EDA meeting Wednesday, August 7th, immediately following the city council meeting, and then immediately following the EDA meeting, we'll have the city council budget work session, so all of those will be August 7th, and that's a Wednesday because National Night Out is on a Tuesday. Do we have any council committee reports?
I have a couple. So for the Chamber of Commerce, first I want to thank everybody that was involved with the rodeo and the parade and all of those fun activities. It was pretty fun. Jimmy and I and a couple others participated in the outhouse races, so that was a blast. I think the Chamber does a good job putting that stuff on. I did receive one complaint about the parade float teardown. The road is closed, affecting sales at 2 local businesses that night, so that is something that next year when we get the conditional use permit or the event permit or whatever, I think we need to be aware of that affecting 2 businesses that are over there. Obviously, if you can't get to their business because the road is closed, then they lose money.
Where was that again, you said? It was because of the float tear down?
Yes, so it's, I don't remember the name of the street, the one that goes between McDonald's and Best Western, where Dairy Queen and Caribou and all that stuff is, so. That's where their float tear down was, and the road was shut down, so nobody could get into those businesses, which, that would make an impact.
Do we know how long it was shut
Which
down?
businesses are you talking about?
Dairy Queen and Caribou.
And they used to tear it down on Penny Lane. That's where they used to tear it down.
So I'm thinking maybe, I don't know if Main Street would be a better option, instead of them turning right at Best Western, they turn left and use Main Street there to tear down to that big strip. I think that's where they used to do it.
They used to do it on Penny Lane.
Yeah, on Penny, and then it'd go onto the Main Street there, and then towards, it ended up being basically almost to the China House strip mall there. So I don't know,
I know that Melissa was out there herself pushing floats along, saying, hey, you guys gotta get out of the way.
okay.
We gotta
I
clear out."
didn't see
So-
it, I just got 2
So I
complaints.
know they were making an effort to move people out of the way as fast as possible, for sure, but
The road
it's a
was
never
closed.
ending, what'd you say?
I was over, the
Yeah.
road was closed for, they had to move it so that at least originally there was only one entrance and exit to Dairy Queen, so it was kind of backing up, so then, from what I guess, they moved it south, and then Caribou was only accessible if you came in and off of 65.
Correct.
So the other one, the other access to Caribou on Fifth, wasn't that it was closed, but there was, the road was closed there, so nobody was gonna get in there.
And I heard complaints from both.
Yeah, so
It
there
wasn't
was-
just one.
Yeah.
There was issues with the traffic on Fifth in front of those businesses.
Yes,
There
so
was.
next year, if we could just be aware of that when we do their permitting process to
Sure.
make sure it's,
Well,
try and reroute it a
and we've
different
been
way.
doing it, I think, that way for many years, but now that.
But there weren't businesses there.
There weren't businesses there,
Correct, yep.
right, yep,
Never crossed my mind, to
No.
be honest.
yeah.
But that was still a great event. The parade seemed more attended than I've ever seen before. It was crazy. Fireworks too, the fireworks were great. I want to give a shout out to our firework guy because he killed it for the amount of money we pay. It's such a good show. I got a few texts about how good that show was compared to everywhere else, and we pay a very good price. So I think that's awesome. And now as far as the LMC training conference, I mentioned in the last meeting I'd come with more from that. So there are a few good takeaway messages I thought I'd share. I had talked about the opioid settlement funds in the last meeting. I got some clarification from one of the county commissioners that they have a opioid meeting every month, basically, and they have allocated roughly $300,000 for this year. Now, that wasn't reflected in the numbers the state had, so I'm gonna do some double checking with the person that runs the Health and Human Services to make sure that that is correct, just because I don't want to see our county not capitalize on settlement funds, which is no taxpayer dollars. So I think the opioid epidemic is a big deal. Kills a lot of people in our state and our community. So that's something that I think I'm going to focus on pretty heavy. Another thing that I thought maybe interesting was there was a seminar on new council members and how to get them involved and how to train them. So I thought obviously that could be very relevant as we have 3 seats up. So there was a couple things in there. One thing that I thought was very interesting was that some cities actually do communication style assessments on their city council members and their staff. So that way, you know, if there's a city council member that's coming in, doesn't know any staff, doesn't know any council members, then you can kind of, it's kind of personal, but you can kind of read and see, like, how does this person like to communicate? Are they like a hands-on communicator, all that stuff? I don't know if as a city we've ever done that. And it was also a recommendation for city staff to do that so that everybody that works for the city kind of knows how these people communicate. It's kind of a weird personal thing, but I thought that was kind of interesting. And then another thing was they had talked about when you have a new council member elected in, that a smart thing to do is to have one established council member that's been there and knows how stuff works, kind of give them the basic ropes, because there's a lot of people that aren't familiar with how politics or how the city council works, and you just kind of get thrown in. I know when I was new here, I just got thrown into the EDA, and I was like, what is going on? I had no clue whatsoever, zero. So one thing they do is they say pair that person with one council member that you think they'll get along with and have them kind of show them the ropes. You cannot legally do 2, though, because there's a chance of crossover of open public meeting law. So I thought that would be something for us to be mindful of in January, if there's a potential change, that maybe we try and do a couple of those things just to make the transition better for everybody. Speaking of city council, make sure you get out and vote August 13th in the primary. That's going to be big for city council and other positions, so we need everybody to vote.
All right, I have an announcement. I did reach out to the VFW. I talked to Angie. She was really excited about the idea of a Veterans Memorial. I told her about the park on Main Street. She had to reach out to Tim, the commander. I sat down with the commander this weekend for a short time. He's definitely 100% on board with it. We need to find a way with the VFW and the city to partner, you know, and get the logistics down. He would like to, he's open to both ideas. He likes a park idea, but he also would like to have the city consider Palomino Road and Railroad. He'd like to use that corner right there. He thought that'd be a good area too. But he's open either way, whatever would work best to get this thing going.
I thought they wanted that stuff out of that space.
That
so-
was a
Well,
question.
that was the park, and they do have, I asked him, I said, is that, you mean like the park, old park area? He said, no, they have something they're gonna do with that space. But the actual corner of Palomino and Railroad.
And as far as
they're
the
willing to open up an area there. How much, we didn't discuss.
Did he
Well,
say
'cause
anything
did
about
you
the
ask him
equipment?
about, yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
The
Did
tank
you ask him
and the
about
tank and the
moving
cannon, because there were talks that they wanted to get rid of that, so I want to make sure that they
No.
don't get rid of that before,
They are
because we could
keeping it.
use, okay.
Yes. they're
Okay.
keeping it.
So if anybody doesn't know, George is talking about a potential veterans park at Eagle Park, basically, a veterans memorial there, so, and some other things that maybe would go along with that, so.
That's a big goal. I
Well,
think that's
so
a big
anyway,
goal for
they're
us.
interested in working with us on that project, but they're also would be open to allowing us to do the park down there at the corner by where they're at.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's the way I understood it. So I did mention that the city would talk to the liquor store or talk, you know, we discussed it on council about possibly doing some fundraisers at the liquor store for that memorial. They said they were open to doing fundraisers, so we just have to figure a way to, I'm not sure how the legalities work, but come up with an agreement.
Okay.
And move forward from here.
Well, and I know we talked about it on the park board, and we probably will discuss it here next week. Is it already next week? Man, yeah, it is. So probably next week, we'll discuss that in a little bit more detail, but they were really, really excited about the possibility of doing that over at Eagle Park there, so. So yeah, no, I think that there's a lot of people are on board and, yeah, I think it's gonna be a good thing, so.
He was open to either spot, so.
Okay, awesome. Well, yeah, maybe we could add that to, committee of the whole next month and kind of start discussing that in a little bit more detail and kind of go from there, so.
Yeah, and I'll see if I can get the commander here for that meeting.
Yeah, that'd be great, yeah. Any other council committee reports? All right, we'll move on to our first business item then, which is K1, the ordinance to consider amending zoning code, chapter 445, section 15, fencing, screening, and landscaping.
Good evening, councilors and mayor. Due to a number of new fences being constructed within the city, we have discussed this a few times now and gone over it, but
I think we approved it last time, but it was not quite ready to be approved yet.
Yep, so with a few changes, so it was discussed at Planning Commission, Committee of the Whole, and then again at council at the July 2nd meeting. Changes from that include, originally, we didn't want to have any written permission, the Planning Commission recommended, for fences being constructed on the property line, and the city attorney recommended that we should still require that. Verbal agreements don't, there's not the proof of that would uphold in court. So we will be requiring written permission, but the city will not be requiring proof of that written permission for the fence to be on the property line. But do recommend or do require that they get that from their neighboring properties and they can keep in their possession as proof that they did get that permission, if anything were to change. Staff also included language to allow for the property owners to connect to their neighbor's fence, which was not previously in there. And all of these additional changes have been updated on this new version, and it has been posted for the required 10 days now.
And it was the 10 days that we jumped the gun last time and you had to stop us. All right, any other questions on this? I mean, this basically is just us trying to get out of the way so we're not in the middle of these property disputes and without having to require our residents to get surveys done, which could cost anywhere from, around $1,200 a survey to put a fence in, and we don't want to have that cost either for the residents, and but we also don't want to be involved in property disputes. So this was kind of the hands-off approach to that, and yeah, any other discussion?
It also includes the updated waiver of liability, which has been reviewed by the city attorney as well.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Holmgren, Councilman Merrill, and a second from Councilman Holmgren. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. I was just expecting you to make the first motion. Moving on to K2, resolution to consider adding a static mixer to the water treatment plant.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So during the summer months, all 4 filters are needed because of the demand for water, so all 3 wells are running. Therefore, all 4 filters need to be online. With those longer run times, we're seeing some inconsistent chemical levels going through the filters. This would allow the chemicals to be mixed or blended a lot better before they go into each filter, which is going to give us better results. Right now, it's a lot of babysitting on these 2 filters when all 4 filters are in line. So got a quote for the mixer for $24,000 and 3 quotes for the mixer for the install, with Minnesota Mechanical being the cheapest. 6 to 8 week lead time. Total cost $35,175 with a 5% contingency. So like I said, right now we're kind of babysitting 2 filters when they're all 4 online. And it's kind of came to light with the longer run times with all 4 filters. When we have just 2 online, it's not a big deal, but all 4, we have an issue.
Can you describe what this is? Does it have blades in it and it aerates or mixes it just better as it goes through?
You can kind of see in the one picture,
Yeah.
it just comes through and it just causes a turbulence in the
Turbulence,
water.
okay, yep.
And with that turbulence, the chemical injection goes into that turbulence and just allows everything to just get blended together. Instead of right now, it just goes up, and whichever way the water wants to go, it just goes. There's
How
a
much,
straight pipe.
how much does it impact water flow?
It shouldn't impact water flow at all.
Okay. I had another question. So, I mean, I looked at it, it weighs roughly 400 pounds, and it appears as bolts for an inline install. So basically that $11,000 would be for them to hack off in the middle of a line and then put on 2 flanges that this piece bolts into, correct?
It'll be one section pipe comes out and this will go in. So it'll just be
Oh,
unbolted.
so it just bolt in?
It just bolts in.
So
Yep.
that's not something that we could do?
I don't think we can do it, no.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. Is it just too hard to get to? I mean, it weighs 400 pounds is what this says.
I would be scared to take the chance. It would take probably everybody, but I'd really scared to take the chance on something happening. Us not being familiar with adding this in there, and this would have to go in during the winter months. I'd hate to see something happen where we get started on something like this and something else happens and we have to stop. It's not like something we can start and wait. It's gotta be, once it's started, it's gotta be same day finished back together.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
just
I
hate
d-
to,
I
I just
don't-
hate to pay a company $11,000 to
I
come
know,
in
but
and
I mean,
bolt
you're
something
dealing
in.
with the water. I mean, you don't mess around with that, you know? I'm all on board with this. It's Fund 500, Mike, that's paying for this, the water.
Yeah, this is an unbudgeted item, but from my perspective in maintaining the life of the filters, it just one of those ones where you just have to do it. It's not
Are there-
always fun to spend money, but it is what it is.
Are there any other major projects that are coming down the line in the next, say, in the next year that you might already have a company out there? Because I bet a lot of this 11,000 is initiation costs, because I don't see how it costs 11,000 bucks to unbolt and bolt in a pipe. I mean, I know
think
it's a big pipe, but is there any other projects that we could bundle it in with, since it's not really totally necessary at the moment?
Not until we start doing filter underings, and that's down the road yet. There's nothing major happening we can tie this in with.
Yeah, the filter under drains are just simply going to be evaluated in 2028.
Yep.
We just pushed those back because they're doing okay for now.
But I mean, as far as the rest of the wastewater, or the water treatment plant, because there's gonna be, I mean, the similar companies do the work on the entire water plant, correct? It's not just a filter associated company that installs these, is it? I mean, it's plumbing, so you'd think that they,
It's a specialty company that do sewer and water treatment plants.
yeah,
I
I'm
used to
saying,
work for one, and it ain't just anybody can go in and do these.
right, I'm just saying, is there any other, not just in the filtration aspect of it, but the whole rest of the plant, is there any other any other
do-
projects we can bundle
We
it in
will
with?
have the chemical, our treatment
The
for chlorine
chlorinator,
regeneration
yeah.
system that's coming. I do not anticipate that would be any of these companies that bid on this one that will be
Okay.
doing that work.
No other major overhauls or even minor things like this? Okay.
Any other discussion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Heeman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
That motion carries 4-1. Moving on to K3, the resolution to consider approving a special event permit for Rum River BMX 2024 Minnesota State Finals.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. A special event permit application has been received from Rum River BMX for their 2024 Minnesota State Finals race event. The event will take place August 22nd, 2024 and August 23rd, 2024 from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. and August 24th and 25th from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. for a total of a 4-day event. It will be held at the Isani Indoor Arena, and the event is open to the public to include multiple BMX bike races throughout the weekend. There's an estimated 800 to 1,000 people in attendance per day. They're requesting camping in the grass area south of the Isani Indoor Arena. 6 additional portable restrooms will be brought in, and utilizing the existing restrooms at the indoor arena as well. Parking will be in the lots of the IIA, as well as overflow at Bluebird Park and Soccer Complex, and RV parking in the grass lot, as mentioned, in the south of the Isani Indoor Arena. They've requested 6 barricades and 25 small no parking signs, and have requested the $100 cleanup deposit fee to be waived. Staff has recommended approval of this event permit.
I think they've done an awesome job. They keep getting bigger and bigger and better there. I'm 100% behind everything that they do, so I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Do you guys want to come up and say anything about the event before we move on here? or- All right, I have a motion from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Merrill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Moving on to K4, the resolution to consider removing courts from Whisper Ridge Park.
In the 2022 Comprehensive Park Trails and Open Space Plan, the Parks and Recreation Board agreed that due to the lack of use, the courts at Whisper Ridge should not be replaced and removed upon deterioration. After many ideas thrown out there for ways we could use this park and utilize this fenced-in area and the degrading pavement, it just doesn't make any sense at this time for the city to move forward using what's there, and the park board has recommended to move it back to green space, which the Public Works department would be able to do as time allows for a minimal cost of, they would estimate under $1,000 to remove the equipment from the park. Any fencing that could be saved will be saved if necessary. Otherwise, most of it's just taking it out of the park and recycling the pieces that are left.
Motion to approve.
I guess I have a few things to say. I wholeheartedly disagree with removing it. Now, there was a park, VFW Park, that it was removed because some of the playground equipment was dangerous. Well, there were 2 kids in that neighborhood that still played on that equipment. Now you have basketball and tennis courts that people still play on. It might not be a lot, but people still do. So you don't know what you're taking away from a kid just to turn it into green space. Right now you have, sure, it's degraded, but people still use it. Kids still enjoy it. There could be 2 or 3 kids in that neighborhood that's what they do in the summer. They love that with their friends. For me personally, I think it's silly to just take it down to make it green space. It's an amenity that's there. I went and looked at it last year. I didn't think it was that bad. I haven't been there this year. So I'm voting no on this one, just because you don't know who actually plays there and what that effect could have on a child in that area, to turn into green space, which is pretty much pointless.
What was the main reason to get rid of this park? Was it costing the city money to maintain it?
I believe the cost versus use for this park is the main reason. The use is very limited most of the time. I believe one of the neighbors is storing their dog in there. It's just not being used the way it should be, and it's really degraded. The cost and access to the park is really limited. So there's not a lot of parking. When it was first developed as a park, the houses weren't built up on that street, and now that they are, the driveways take up most of the street. There's not any parking space for nearby the park on either street. So it's just kind of impossible for residents to know about it, for us to get the word out, and for us to help people learn more about it, because there's not access to parking. There's no parking lot for this park. In the future, it is a large park space, and there are plans for this park in the future in our comp plan to make it pretty exceptional with a boardwalk, but the amount of money that costs at this time is substantial. And so it just seems like the best route for this park at this time, due to the lack of use and lack of access, and lack of utilities, et cetera, in this area, that this is the best for now. We're not giving up on this park. We're not saying we're not gonna have a park there anymore. It will be green space, but it's, gives us a chance to plan for the future for this park.
And all I'm saying is, why tear, I agree with you, eventually it's gonna need to be tore down, but why tear it down maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ahead of you actually having plans to do anything with it? I remember when I was young, I used to play on that basketball court. Kids still walk to that basketball court, whether you like it or not, they still do. I think it's just a waste to get rid of something that's still usable. It's not perfect, but it's still usable. So why get rid of it if you don't have any plans to replace it with anything right now? I mean, that's like tearing down a livable house when you think maybe 20 years from now something else will come in better. Well, if something else comes in better, then you tear it up. You don't just, I mean, that's a kick to anybody that lives in the neighborhood. If there's a parent sends their kid over there, kid loves basketball, and now all of a sudden you take that away and you don't do anything there, that's a really bad look, and I think that's going to reflect poorly on us.
To Luke's point, did anybody in the Park and Rec reach out to any of the neighbors in those surrounding neighborhoods to see if their children are actually using it. And has the city itself reached out to that, either of those neighborhoods that can access it easiest and see if they would like it there or removed?
From my understanding, nobody has reached out to the neighbors that live nearby there. I know city staff has not.
Okay.
I mean, I don't even think we really need to. Why not just leave it? It's been there and it's still used.
Matt, how much time do you guys use maintaining that park in your time?
I can tell you that I've never seen anybody in the park personally myself. I'm sure somebody does. The biggest thing that I've seen down there is one of the neighbors likes to let their dog in there and use it as a dog kennel.
That's not cool.
That
shouldn't be
happens, so
happening.
we have to pick up dog waste from that park in that tennis court. There's a lot of trash blows in there. We probably spend, all of an hour every week probably taking care of that park. It's not a priority because it's not one that gets used a lot. The one at Matson Park gets used a lot, and the one at Bluebird Park is getting used a lot. I just never seen anybody in that park down there, in my 2
The
cents.
park that you were talking about by the VFW too, I mean, that was a situation there where that equipment was.
No, I know, and
it
that's
was
di-
either
that's
It was either
different.
replace all the equipment because it was outdated and
Yeah, but that's
or it
different.
was, and it was not used
See, that
very
one had a
often, but-
liability, this one doesn't.
Right, but the thing with this one is that it's, Mike, I mean, I don't know when it's due for resurfacing and that kind of thing, I mean, if we were to keep it, but I mean, it's.
I don't wanna
it's-
keep, I don't wanna resurface it.
Well,
I'm
right,
saying
and
keep
that's
it
the
the way
thing
it
is
is until you have a plan.
it's such an eyesore right now, and it is in need of, it's time probably to resurface it now if we're gonna keep it, and
Yeah,
it's like, do you let it sit there and look bad? And it's a beautiful spot, I wish we could come up with an idea where you don't need any parking and we thought about a community garden, but there's really not a lot of, because all those spaces are full, but there's not a lot of sunlight in there either, so it's just, I don't know, I mean, eventually I think it'll be used for something really cool, but that, it's gonna probably be down the road, and in the meantime, do you really want this park that's not being maintained just sitting there? But you go ahead and answer that question, Mike, sorry.
Yeah, when the right time is to take it out or to resurface, or in this case, reconstruct, that every person in the room is gonna have a slightly different opinion about that, right? But as far as the reconstruction, you should understand is, if that were the course taken, you'd be talking about 45,000 as a minimum. It costs money.
Has there ever been a complaint from any of the neighbors about that park? Has there been any?
The only complaint that we've had some noise complaints from people, mostly juveniles down there.
It's
So
used.
that's the only complaints I can think of that we get.
Sure.
Not a lot, but a handful of times we've gotten complaints of loud music.
I'm just looking at Luke's point of view on this. I mean, right now it's something. And
Exactly.
we're gonna make it into nothing, and I
Once
just
there's a
wondering if
plan,
that's
once there's a
what we-
plan, I'd
right.
approve it, but there's no plan, there's no way you just get rid of an amenity that kids might be using. Seems silly.
Oh, yeah, come on up, Kim. If you could, state your name and address for the record, it's a different meeting, so.
I know. Kim Martin, 105 Fifth Avenue Southwest. I guess I'm wondering why you wouldn't just ask the people that live there. Maybe they're not using it because somebody's storing their dog there. And maybe they want it torn up and they can use it as a community garden, but they're the ones that live by it. To me, they should at least be asked.
And maybe that's one of the things
Yeah,
we
I think
could
that's a
ask
fair,
ask on Facebook.
I think that's a fair,
too.
well,
Maybe.
why don't we go ahead and let's postpone this or table this for now and send out letters to anybody within our 700 feet now is our radius of folks that live within it, and
I'd like to see at least the surrounding neighborhoods, the ones that the kids would have easy access to, so.
I walked there and that was a pretty far walk, so.
Mayor and Council, one thing that we've done in the past with other parks, so when we had Neighborhood Hills, which is called Tot Lot back in the day, there was a survey sent out to them via mail, and we asked them to mail it back in. Is that something that you're looking for staff to do?
I mean, and I guess, hold on one second, because we should see, I mean, if you guys are okay with just leaving it there, then maybe we don't want to even bother with that, so.
I would like to ask the neighborhood, see what they want.
Let's just get the neighbors' opinion.
Okay.
Because I already know, I've already had many of the neighbors tell me they don't even know why it's there. So, and I've heard that long before you were on the council, Luke.
Oh, right.
So they're the ones that live there. And they have told me at that time, they don't know why it's there. I've had people ask me, I never even knew it was there, out in the middle of nowhere. So, they're speaking there. And that
Why
was a
it's
long
there
time
and
ago.
Do they want it there are two different things, though, so.
Right, I mean, I just don't know how you can get rid of amenity before you have a plan to replace it. I think that's silly. But the survey's one of, I always say we need more community outreach, so I'm down for any of that. Whether it's just, I don't know that we necessarily need a technical survey. I think we could just write something up and have a blank line and have people send it back, pay for their postage so you actually get some responses and see what we get.
What I was not intending it to be technical, but we can write up a few questions. Do you use it? How
Yeah.
frequently? What do you use it for? Kind of thing. And we can put a self-addressed stamped envelope in there to try to get a better return rate. I know typically we don't get that great. If you get 8%, you're doing really great on a survey. It is pretty low. But we can definitely try to be intentional and maybe even do some door postings if we got some time to.
Right.
And definitely put the question in, should we tear it down?
Should we remove it and return to a green space?
I think this would be a good thing to do on Facebook too. I know we had talked about doing a survey or getting some ideas, make a post and say, hey, what would you like to see here? It doesn't cost us anything. It makes us seem more transparent. We need to do more of that. That's a trend that's been going on in the city for the last 10 years where people feel like we're not being transparent enough. I mean, we've really gone leaps and bounds above what it was, but I think we gotta keep going further.
A Facebook post might get a little traction too.
I did hear, I think 700, but typically our radius is 350 feet. Do we want it to go beyond 350 feet?
We doubled the radius, and then, didn't we?
I thought we did.
Yeah, it was one of them way back in 2 years ago.
For surveys?
Well, for anything, any public notices, I guess, is 700 now. Should be.
I think that was like a year and a few months ago.
Well,
Or did we just talk about it?
no, we did that, I think, but we can, yeah, but 700 feet's a long ways, so that's a lot of properties.
So do 700?
Yeah.
All right, so then do I need a motion to table this until our next meeting?
Yeah, if we want to do, we probably wouldn't get any results back, probably maybe that fast. So if you're okay with postponing it for 1 month, so we could do the second meeting in August. Where's my date? August 20th? City council meeting, August 20th?
Make a motion to postpone until August 20th.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Merrill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Moving on to K5, resolution to consider painting pickleball lions and placing of portable nets by the Cambridge Area Pickleball Association at Academy Park.
So staff met with the president of the Cambridge Area Pickleball Association to discuss the possibility of having CAPA, the Cambridge Area Pickleball Association, use Academy Park for pickleball. In 2023, they taped down temporary pickleball court lines and placed 2 temporary nets from July through September. However, the temporary taped lines did not last, and the president suggested that if the city were to paint pickleball lines at the park, that CAPA would be willing to place the temporary nets out there again for the remainder of the summer. And so at the June 25th Parks and Recreation Board meeting, the board voted 5-0 to make a recommendation to the city council to have the Public Works Department paint 2 pickleball courts on the existing tennis court at Academy Park and work with CAPA to bring a designated pickleball space in Isani for the remainder of the season. Staff has found a pickleball court stencil that can be used by Public Works to paint the lines for $180. And the Cambridge Area Pickleball Association fully supports the opportunity to place 2 temporary nets. We also spoke with the Arts and Science Academy, and they are in support of having a pickleball at Academy Park as well, and they're main users of it. We would need to make sure that Public Works would have enough time this summer to do this, and that's, Matt, I don't know if you
We
can
could-
speak on that.
We could likely find the time for that. I think we've painted them before, it doesn't take very long.
This is an unbudgeted item, so this would have to come out of somewhere. Mike, you can
Come on,
speak
Park and Rec.
The new amenity.
Yeah, if we're just talking about stencil and paint, we don't need to take any action for mending the budget. We should be able to make that work, and otherwise we'll be within a close enough margin.
That could
Make a
come from,
motion to approve.
that could come from Park Reserve Fund, couldn't it? It's new. I mean, what,
I just don't think it needs to. I mean, that dollar amount,
okay.
I mean,
What was the stencil, 189 bucks?
180 bucks, yeah.
And then a little paint and some
Yeah.
time? I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
we'll make it fit.
I'll second.
So I have a motion from Councilman Lundin to approve the painting of the pickleball lines, and a second from Councilman Heeman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0.
I had a quick question on that. I think I remember us talking about this, but did we reach out to the Cambridge Area Pickleball Association to see if they would be interested in the tennis and basketball courts that we just talked about? I mean, it's obviously gonna need work.
We did not, because one of the biggest complaints about pickleball is the noise factor. And
Okay.
so being so close to residential homes, it's not recommended to be in a neighborhood park. And so that's why the Academy Park's actually a really great place, because there's no homes nearby.
Okay.
And there's the parking issue at
Yeah, true.
Whisper Ridge, there's nowhere to park. I mean, you go Cambridge, they've got like a really nice pickleball group there they got like 8, I think, courts, and I mean, there's like 60 people there on a Saturday afternoon. It's nuts, so, yeah.
There was a couple of people that reached out and said they like the temporary pickleball courts here. So I think it'll get used a lot. I think it's a great use of money.
I think that particular court in Academy Park is up for resurfacing next year, right, Mike, I think? And I think there was talk from the park board that maybe that would be resurfaced to a pickleball court and then permanently made into 2 pickleball courts, but, right? Yeah. So anyway, that'll be coming down the line here, but and if it takes off and we want to add more courts, there's space over there to do that too, which is nice. So, and like Stephanie said, with the noise that creates, that would be a good spot for it too, so.
And we did check with Arts and Science Academy again, just to make sure they'd be okay with the complete conversion as well, and even additional courts, and they said definitely, that's a great amenity that their school would be able to offer that other schools couldn't, so they
Yeah.
did like that.
Awesome. All right, anything on the consent agenda we want to discuss any further? Otherwise, I'll look for a motion to approve that.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve the consent agenda from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Heeman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Any other communications? Otherwise, we can look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion to adjourn from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Merrill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. We are adjourned. And then we will give us a few minutes and we'll jump into our budget workshop.